Hi, I'm Patty Rappa here at Cross Campus in beautiful Silicon Beach with Tiffany, Project Management Talent.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I just hear you've got some really fun stuff happening and great projects coming up. Tell us more.
Yeah. Well, Project Management Talent, what we do is we specialize in IT, obviously. We are a team of project managers that have just been really good at our job, and we go into different companies and we help them find different solutions with their human resources, how they're staffing their talent, everything in the beginning of their project, if they need anything as far as remote roles, technical roles, communications people, business intelligence, individuals. And so we help these companies align themselves with best-in-class human resources just anywhere in the United States. So we're a really great team. We're really busy, and we just have phenomenal people around us. So that's what we do.
Sounds like a lot of different facets to what you're doing. How did you get into this line of work?
It's a long story, but I guess I'll start from the beginning. I started in project management on accident. In fact, if you ask a lot of project managers how they got into the business, they'll probably say it's an accident.
Yeah,
it's not really a formalized industry. There really isn't so much education or like a degree on it. It's just now that they're starting to get some formalized structure on it. So when I first got into it, I was actually a finance major. And I did finance, accounting. I was dabbling in real estate. I was thinking about dabbling in real estate and insurance. And then I applied for a job that was a hybrid. It was a hybrid of a financial role and an IT role. And I was actually not going to take the job. But the hiring manager convinced me to take it because we had such good rapport with each other. And I ended up being so good at the project management and the IT side that I decided to ditch cyclical corporate reporting and financial budgets to do IT. So I've been doing that ever since for 9 years now.
So you really know the whole cycle of all of the ins and outs and the flow of all of it. So that's probably what led you to doing this line of work too.
Right. Well, I started in one of the biggest companies and the biggest brands in the world, like Fortune 100 company, the Walt Disney Company. So I started there in their corporate office, led me to do work in their studios, and I've always been involved since then in really large-scale implementations of software. So, that's what I've really excelled at, and that's what I've really taken into my career. And so when I actually went to start my own business, I really wanted to help other project managers succeed as well. So that was my thinking on that. And the best way to help enable project managers is get amazing people underneath them, right?
Sure.
To really do a lot of the heavy lifting and the work.
Yeah.
Just to be surrounded by that will just make your project so much easier, So
I agree. It's always all about the people, isn't it?
It is.
Project manager can be great, but then it becomes a task if you don't have the right people.
Correct.
Yeah.
They have to have the good knowledge base. They have to fit into your corporate culture. They have to, there's so many different elements to different types of people that are a good fit within a company. So that's really what I help other people do.
Okay. And so you definitely help with the placement and so on. What happens when things get a little bit uncertain, like emergency situations and that sort of thing?
Well, in emergency type of situations, so how I handle it as a project manager is if I had any type of forewarning to this, that's a lot of the work, right, is risk assessment. So if I could figure out analyzing our risk ahead of time, we would really make measured tactics in order to handle those things. So if the situation did happen, then we would be completely prepared. And, the staff would know that they would have to work overtime if there was a specific time when it was going to be busy and stuff like that. So the risk analysis, the risk assessment is always taking place. But yeah, sometimes, you're in production support and some type of reporting needs to go out to upper executive, and you just kind of have to say, hey, all hands on deck. This is not a drill.
Yeah.
Let's just get this done,
Yes. Great. So tell me, Tiffany, what are some of the the challenges, I guess you would find as a female entrepreneur working in this project management space?
This is very interesting. Good question.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because when I started my career, I didn't realize that there was such a huge difference between the way people treated a man and how they treated a woman. It was just not my belief system that I couldn't do a better job than anybody else. It's always been, I guess that's my thinking and how I just perceive life, right? But it is different in the fact that, you know, when I started doing these large-scale implementations, I was 25 years old, you know, sitting in a room of men, and I would say probably about 3% of our project were females. So I would walk in with my boss, sit right beside her, and people would say, you know, oh, you're her secretary, and ask me to do secretarial work, you know. So that happened quite a bit. Another thing that would happen was, you know, if my boss said, like, we had a big kickoff meeting, and she was introducing all of the members of the team, and since everybody thought I was a secretary because of my age, and, you know, I like to laugh, and I'm a little bubbly, and she introduced me as one of their leaders, and she said that Tiffany is going to be taking all of her this, and these are the people that are going to be reporting to her and stuff. I think that half of the people in that room just dropped their jaws because they could not believe that this younger girl was going to be leading them on a project. And mind you, there were other leaders that were men in the room that were young as well, and they just did not have the same reaction to him as they did with me. It was almost like an immediate IT respect that they just naturally granted the other person, and for me it was a lot harder to earn that respect. So I think for a woman playing in this space, it takes a lot more effort to gain that initial trust amongst your team, and that is critical, is really how you're going to interact with the other people, and how they view you. So you have to be respected as, first of all, a woman. You have to be respected as a woman that knows IT. You have to be respected as a leader. These are three critical things that guys sometimes take for granted because they're naturally given almost that initial respect, whereas women actually have to earn it. With men, it's almost given to them, and then they could chip away at that. You know, they could either make it their expectations, meet their expectations, or they could kind of start taking the back seat whenever the performance happens. But with women, we have to really step it up.
Absolutely.
Initially.
I definitely understand what you're saying. And so now what happens once they do turn that corner? And does it get any easier? Or do you find that it's just a constant reminder of, I still know what I'm doing kind of game?
That's interesting because when you have your team and they trust you completely, and they're supporting you, then the momentum is fine. But yeah, when you're in a new space and you go onto a new project or a new job or something like that, you're starting all over again. So, and I've done that a few times within my career. So when you do that, it's like, wow, I have to do this work all over again with my people and my staff, and it does get easier. It does get easier, but it is one of those things that you're like, oh yeah, I need to do that again, you know?
So what about someone wanting to get into their own tech space? What would you, especially a female, what would you recommend in that light?
I don't think, this is a really interesting question. I looked up stats on this. I had looked up this article. One of the articles said that about 40% of the people that were in computer science and technology, the majors, were 40% women. So that's actually pretty high, and that's pretty great. So the interest in women to be in that tech space is absolutely there. Now the transition of them going from that college to going into actual application within their job, now it's only 18%. So it made a huge deep dive into the numbers of 40% to 18%. And why is that
Yeah, why do
actually
you think?
happening in that gap? And I think it's the belief that that's really a man's playing field, that it could still be that. I mean, the corporate environment itself just sort of lends itself to be a little bit more masculine. And I'm not using that term as being a man or female role. It's more of an aggressive thing. Who's willing to be a little bit more aggressive for that area? And that's what I'm trying to use masculine to be. So it's not so much, I think, the perception of this being a man or a woman. I really think it's how you need to be in those types of fields. And I'm not saying being aggressive as like you're going to be angry or you're going to, there's other terms that people have used with it.
Assertive and more of a direct kind of approach.
Right.
Yeah.
Action-based, right? Milestones, action plans, metrics. And these are qualities that people always really just sort of assume as masculine, a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more in the playing field. And those are the qualities that I see that have really been dominant in the women that have really succeeded and thrived in this area, is taking on sort of those masculine characteristics of being assertive, taking an action plan, and then really being able to implement that well. And I think that almost women have a little bit more of a competitive advantage on this area because on the other side, too, we're always thinking about the other person and the people. We're asking them questions. We're really proactive in the relationship building. And I'm not saying that men aren't good at this. Of course not. I'm just saying that women have a very natural, innate ability to do this within just anybody, right?
Right.
We've been taught that as we were kids, is that the way we show love to our friends is to talk to them. And so if we're doing that in a way within a corporate culture that is giving them really the right and making them feel good about their job, and then also bringing metrics and an action plan and all of these different types of elements within the team, it's going to thrive. And so that's really the basis of what I think that I've been good at my job, is because I stepped into that. Stepped into that area, stepped into that arena. And I really think that other women, too, can really step into that arena as well. It's not necessarily that, we're viewed and we have all of these different obstacles that we can't do it. That's not the case. We just need to realize that there's certain things that we need to do in order to step up to the challenge.
That's so true. It's so true. And it's a kind of an aha moment, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And it's not about changing who you are or changing yourself. I think a lot of women make that mistake when they go into male-dominated industries. And they think, oh my gosh, I need to play myself in a certain way so I could play in the men's arena.
Right.
Don't do that, right? That's gonna make you seem small to them. That's just going to really bring the thinking out that you are exactly the stereotype and this is why women can't do it. No, you're a woman, and that's good. And that's fine. You're bringing diversity into the IT area, which they need. I mean, if we're talking about only 18% of people in IT right now today in the industry are women, and the other 82% are men, it needs to change, right?
Sure, of course.
The products and the services that we're giving to many of the people in the population are women.
Yeah.
So if it's really going on to that male type of thinking, it's not going to resonate with a woman as much as it is for a man.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. So something does need to change. Women do need to step up into their space, and I think that's really how you get into it, is not to change yourself, to accept the fact that you are going to be different, and to embrace that.
Absolutely. And it sounds like it's been a fun journey for you.
Oh yeah, I love it. Yeah. I'm like Pat talks so passionately about this.
It's great. Great.
It's
well, it sounds like you're really doing a lot with your company. How long have you been working at this?
1 year.
1 year.
From my company. Yeah, the 1 year anniversary is coming up very shortly, so that's great.
Great. And lots of fun things on the horizon.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything's always changing. That's what I love about IT in this space is everything's always changing, and there's always a new challenge around the horizon. It's never boring. It's never, ever boring.
Yeah, absolutely. It never does end, does it? It always continues to evolve. Yeah. So, Tiffany, tell us what talents or personality traits does someone have to be in this space and to do tech, do you feel?
To do tech, well, first there's initial interest. You know, if you're not passionate about it, obviously don't do it.
Right.
I think that's number one, really, because, and yes, people can be passionate about tech.
Yeah, I think so too, yeah.
Absolutely. And technology and just everything that's changing and just having really a passion and an eye for it already, I think is really critical. Because if you're just doing it because, you heard that a consultant makes, X, Y, Z per hour, and everybody knows that consultants make quite a bit of money in the tech space, it's not going to sustain you. Right. It really isn't.
Because you can burn out.
Very easily.
Yeah.
Very easily.
Yeah.
And a lot of problem solving and creative problem solving. Yeah. A lot of people also don't think that tech is a creative field, and it really is. I think it's one of the most creative fields that there is because we're always creating something insanely new, something wildly like outside of the realm of your imagination that could possibly happen, and then they make it happen. Yeah. So it's insanely creative. So I think somebody has to have those two driving passions, is to really like tech and how things are changing and evolving so quickly, to be a problem solver and to be a really big creative problem solver. Yeah.
Great point. Absolutely, yeah. And so now what keeps you motivated on your toughest days?
Oh gosh, coffee is one. Yeah. My coffee. I love it. But really, I think it's really the people. I really wouldn't have gotten or thrived in the tech space if it wasn't for the people that were around me. I keep myself with really amazing individuals. In the beginning of my career, one of my bosses really helped me thrive and supported me as far as, finding the right training for me, figuring out what to do, opening up doors for opportunity. And I feel that the people that in my staff have always been really supportive. I mean, everybody that I've ever worked with are now my closest friends, and we've kept in touch, and it continues just to grow. So if you don't have good people around you on your toughest days, oh dear, you're going to feel really bad. You're going to be feeling really unmotivated. You're not even going to know how to get yourself out of that problem. You're going to be really stuck in that problem, and you're not going to have a new perspective on it. So the people around me really motivate me.
Always about surrounding yourself with the right culture and the right tribe, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's important. It's number one.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Tiffany, for being here with us and sharing your awesome point of view with project management talent and the group that you're leading in this tech space as a female entrepreneur. It's been such a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. It's been fun.
Yeah. I'm Patty Rappa here at Cross Campus in Silicon Beach. Thanks so much for joining us.